Welcome to Velocity City, where you get to know everything about the exciting news and updates about our beloved sport, Formula 1. Today, we will review the Monaco Grand Prix, which I'm sure surprised everyone. After a banger qualifying season, the race was even better than the qualifying round. Arguably, this was the race of the season. We will discuss in detail about everything. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon to get regular updates from Velocity City. Let's get started. Well, to be honest, I had no expectations from the Monaco GP, but I couldn't have been more wrong. A little part of me hoped Alonso could win the pole and save the race, but that was all. The qualifying was chaotic though. Perez made a terrible error in Q1 too early, which allowed the other drivers a chance at the front row. It was remarkable to see Hamilton take out the win on the final lap of Q1 and Q2, but in Q3, things started to heat up. It was wild how Esteban Ocon won the provisional ballot. Laurent Rossi, the CEO, who had questioned Alpine's team's competence earlier this week, received the gut punch from Ocon. It is evident that it inspired him to do better. First, let's talk about Mercedes, debuting upgrades on a tricky track of Monaco, but it went pretty well. Hamilton and Russell finished 4th and 5th respectively. Hamilton was happy with the results, but he was not happy with the unexpected downpour. It was very, very bad, he said. There's really no word to describe how difficult it was. For my side, I couldn't get the temperature into the intermediate tyres, so I was just tiptoeing. I felt it was very, very twitchy when my tyres weren't working, so it was like I was on ice. Alonso outperformed Charles Leclerc in the first 2 segments with a minute left in the race, and despite a rather lackluster third sector, he managed to win the temporary lead. Verstappen was 0.2 of a second slower than Alonso after the first 2 sectors and might have started on the second row of the grid at that point in the lap. But that last sector was unbelievable. He must have brushed up against the wall on every corner. Jenson Button stated it was the finest qualifying session he's ever seen, and I find it difficult to disagree. I didn't think the race could exceed the qualifying round, but it did. Aston Martin adopted the hard to medium approach for Fernando Alonso, which I believe was the correct choice. Max was on a medium to hard to ensure he got to turn 1 ahead of Alonso. That worked out, and on the softer tyre, he began to pull a lead, which was certain to happen. Aston Martin's strategy accounted for this. They anticipated the track to get more rubber on it as the race progressed and the surface cooled. When Alonso switched to mediums, he should have been able to lap faster with less tyre wear than Max. But the unexpected rain began softly on lap 51 and gradually worsened over the following laps. However, it was originally only over a couple of segments, making tyre selection tricky. Verstappen was leading from Alonso, George Russell, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc on lap 54 with 24 laps to go. Verstappen had been hanging on with his fading medium tyres longer than he wanted as Red Bull waited for the rain. At the same time, Alonso was more comfortable behind him on hard tyres. He would have lost the race if he had to pit for new soft tyres and then pit for intermediates, but the Spaniard could have gone further on his hands and only pitted for intermediates with about 25 laps to go. Max's ability to nurse those mediums for 55 circuits while maintaining distance on Alonso won the race. But did Aston Martin deprive Alonso of his first race victory after a decade? Despite stellar time management, Alonso was pitted on lap 54 by Aston Martin. However, they used medium untreated slick tyres rather than the threaded intermediates used by Russell, Hamilton, Ocon and Pierre Gasly when they pitted 30 seconds later. Verstappen and the Ferrari drivers stayed out, but the heavy rain caused the Dutchman to collide with the wall at Portier and Sainz to spin at Mirabeau. Alonso stated when he pitted, most of the track was dry, apart from turns 5, 6 and 7, and the team believed the shower would be brief. At the time Alonso pitted, he was over a pit stop ahead of George Russell. As a result, Aston Martin could gamble on the track drying out. But at the end, like always, Max had won the race. It was quite a difficult one because we were on the medium and Fernando was on the hard. We didn't want to go that long, but we had to stay out with the rain coming, Max told Sky Sports. It was incredibly slippery, and when you are that far in the lead, you don't want to push too hard, but also you don't want to lose too much time. So it's quite difficult in that scenario. I clipped the wall a few times and it was super difficult out there, but that's Monaco. It's super nice to win in the way that we did today, with the weather and everything, to stay calm and bring it home. Mike Crack would later clarify that the call was not a risk, as it looked, but rather the radar had shown that no rain was on the way, and they reacted appropriately. We thought it was only a short shower. Our radar was not very good because we did not expect any, actually, Crack told F1 TV. And then it came. And it came much more than we were anticipating. So we had to come in because of the hard tyres. They already had a lot of laps on them and they were starting to cool down. And then you really are just sliding. So we knew we had to come in. At this point, it was not raining yet, or very small drizzle. Because of the high ground temperature, it would dry up quickly again. So we decided to fit the mediums. As soon as Fernando had left, it started to come really heavy here. And we had to come in, unfortunately. But it wasn't a gamble, it was just from the decision making, and it was not correct. Alonso responded no when asked if the additional pit stop reduced his chances of winning. It turned out that he had indeed heard this question before, though it had previously puzzled him. Since most of the track was dry when he stopped for medium tyres, he couldn't comprehend why folks had anticipated him taking on intermediates at that moment. When questioned if that additional halt caused his chances of winning to diminish, Alonso replied, "I don't know." He added, "I heard this question in the TV pen as well. I was surprised a little bit. For me, it was very clear that the track on the lap we stopped was completely dry, apart from turns 7 and 8. So how will I put the inters? It was completely dry 99% of the track, so I stopped for dries. The weather forecast was small showers and small quantity of rain as well. We had, as a team, and we had a lot of margin behind us to put the dry tyres and, if necessary, the inter tyres. So, maybe it was extra safe. I don't know. But that minute and a half that it took to go through turns 5, 6 and 7 and 8 again, it changed completely. So the outlap on the dry tyres was very wet when I got to those corners, but the lap that we stopped, it was completely dry. When asked if he thought the team might have been defeated if the track had remained dry, Alonso ended the notion, stating that, in his opinion, we had no chance. I think we didn't have a chance, to be honest. I think we were brave on the strategy. It's not normal that you start off on the first row of the grid and you choose the hard tyre, trying to do the opposite of the leaders. And that shows the commitment from the team and how aggressive everyone was in Aston Martin, trying to get the win. We knew that there was some downside to the strategy. We could have ended up maybe P5, P6 or something like that, out of the podium. But this morning we discussed it and we said we've had a couple of podiums this year, so we go all or nothing. We start on the hard tyre. So what do you think about the Monaco GP? Do you think it exceeded the expectation? Well, it sure did exceed my expectations. Do you think Fernando Alonso would have won the race after 2013 without the downpour? Don't be shy, hit the comment section below and start the conversation. And don't forget to subscribe to see more exciting Formula 1 news. Thanks for tuning in, take care and see you next time.